As we have now just entered the second phase of version 2.6, it means we are all the more closer to the release of Galbrena, which a lot of players are likely considering either due to her design or perhaps due to her potential synergies and playstyle. Either way, as she is also our second premium pistol character, Galbrena will undoubtedly hold quite a bit of value and will be one hell of a DPS. So with that being said, I'll be going over the Ascension and skill upgrade materials for those that are looking to prepare for her release in advance, team synergies you may want to consider, weapons that can be utilized, viable echo builds. Then to wrap it up, I'll be going over her overall value and if Galbrena is a character you should consider for your account. As always, if you are interested in more WutheringWaves content, would very much appreciate it if you could subscribe and drop a like if you enjoyed the video. But just before we do begin, if you are in need of some additional Lunites to just ensure you can secure an upcoming character or two, then you may want to check out this sponsor. Lootbar is a safe and reliable top-up platform that allows you to pick up game currency for an even lower price than in-game. Such as in WutheringWaves, you are able to pick up selected items with up to 21% off. So if you are thinking about picking up some Lunites or even just renewing your Lunite subscription, then you may as well pick it up from Lootbar and save some money. All you need to do is head to the website and click on whichever pack you would like to pick up, then fill out your game account details, choose your preferred payment method, and in a couple of minutes you will receive your Lunites. Also, it's fair to mention that the double top-up bonus will be provided even when going through Lootbar, so you aren't missing out. Lastly, as of now, new users are eligible for a 10% off coupon, along with a bunch of other coupons for an extra discount. So again, if you are looking for a quick and safer way to pick up discounted game currency than other websites, be sure to check out Lootbar through the link in the description. Kicking this off with the materials you can pre-farm before Galbrena's release. As mentioned, the fact that she is going to be a pistol character, it does firstly mean she will require the usual amount of phlogiston to upgrade her skills. Following on from that, Galbrena will require the standard amount of tidal residence to ascend her level, which as usual can be obtained via specific open world enemies or you could exchange for them through numerous ways. In addition to those, the open world boss materials required will be 46 blighted crown drops from the False Sovereign. But as for the weekly boss materials and open world flowers to collect, unfortunately those will only be obtainable on the release of version 2.7. So aside from those materials, you can pre-farm the rest and would require roughly 2.3 million credits in order to completely max out Galbrena. Moving on to some team synergies you likely would want to consider, mostly to determine the amount of value Galbrena would hold for the state of your account. As mentioned in some previous videos, we have currently gathered that she will be a fusion DPS with the ability to deal damage considered as heavy attack damage and echo skill damage. So with that being said, it does mean the echo skill damage composition consisting of Galbrena, Phrolova and Cantarella will definitely be a powerful team to utilize. Perhaps not as synergistic as having Roccia on the team since she does amplify Cantarella's damage and will benefit from Phrolova's entire outro skill. But without a doubt, Galbrena will be capable of dealing more damage to make up for the lack in synergy. Also, Galbrena will still be able to somewhat benefit from Phrolova's outro skill, considering it does provide a 25% heavy attack damage amplification. That of course alongside the immense amount of damage Phrolova can deal off-field when considering her own buffs and outro buffs from Cantarella, which would also be able to deal considerable damage and sustain the team through heals. The echo skill damage composition certainly does have potential to deal an absurd amount of damage and to be one of the best teams in their game. However, it's worth mentioning the best in slot composition likely will be a different variation of the echo skill composition and will consist of Galbrena alongside Qiuyuan, since both characters are expected to deal echo skill damage and for Qiuyuan to utilize the Law of Harmony set as his best in slot set. Currently nothing is confirmed in regards to that, but I would just ensure you do consider the fact Qiuyuan may provide the most support to Galbrena as a sub DPS. Alternatively, the monofusion composition consisting of Galbrena, Lupa and Brant will also be viable since Galbrena does still deal fusion damage. So with the fact Lupa does provide a ton of buffs to increase fusion damage and a few other buffs alongside dealing considerable damage herself, whilst Brant will be taking care of sustaining the team and also dealing great burst damage, the bonuses may not be as favorable as the Echo skill damage composition that provides a heavy attack damage amplification, but the Monofusion team is still definitely going to be a solid team for Galbrena that will instead significantly amplify her fusion damage. Aside from those two specific compositions, and considering Galbrena once again does specialize in dealing heavy attack damage, it means characters such as Mortifi and Iuno would definitely have synergy with Galbrena since they do both amplify heavy attack damage via their outro skills. But of course, each of them will be providing even more value, such as Mortifi providing an attack bonus and Iuno healing all allies whilst dealing top tier damage. So if those compositions previously mentioned aren't available, then either Mortifi or Iuno alongside the Shorekeeper would be a composition you could use for Galbrena to still perform quite well overall. So all in all, there are going to be a handful of powerful synergies that will enable Galbrena to perform incredibly well, alongside a few alternative options for those that just don't have the more favorable units, which ultimately means Galbrena is going to hold solid versatility and can definitely be utilized within various compositions. Now, as for the weapons you could utilize on Galbrena, before anything we can expect the signature weapon to unsurprisingly perform extremely well as the best in slot, especially when considering it likely will provide a massive crit bonus through the main stat and both a heavy attack damage and echo skill damage bonus through the passive. So with those effects, there is no doubt Galbrena will deal immense levels of damage. But with that said, it does seem like the signature weapon will be quite niche, as Galbrena will be the only character that can utilize those effects. So similar to a few other characters such as Phrolova and their signature weapon, it would provide massive value for the character it's designed for, but not that much for anyone else. Now, if you simply aren't able to afford the signature weapon or are thrown off by the fact that it's going to be a bit niche, unfortunately this is probably going to be a signature weapon you do need to pull more than others, only due to the fact there aren't many alternative options. The only two premium 5-star pistols in the game would be the Last Dance and the Woodland Aria, which are both not the greatest options for Galbrena since they don't really provide the effects that she would want most. The Last Dance of course provides an absurd crit damage main stat of 72% alongside a 12% attack bonus and a 48% resonant skill damage bonus, which is going to be the best alternative option, but more so due to being the only premium pistol dedicated for a main DPS. However, Galbrena will still certainly benefit from the huge crit damage bonus and will somewhat from the passive. The Woodland Aria on the other hand really would only provide value through the crit rate main stat, considering the passive is tailored more for a sub DPS and can only be fully utilized by characters that inflict error erosion like Ciaccona. Of course, if you are limited with choice and don't have either the signature or the Last Dance, it can be a viable option. Also, there is the Static Mist, which is pretty much in a similar situation as the Woodland Aria, considering both weapons are utilized more for a sub DPS. So despite the crit rate main stat being great, the passive that provides energy regen and an attack bonus for the resonator switching in wouldn't really impact Galbrena's damage. So with that said, the Solar Flare Battle Pass pistol might just be better if you do have access to it, given it is a weapon especially made for Galbrena since not only does it provide a crit rate main stat, but the passive will increase both attack and heavy attack damage by a max of 8.8%. So it goes without saying that this would be the best 4-star alternative and may enable Galbrena to perform better as a DPS than when using a few of the 5-star alternatives. Overall, as mentioned, there aren't as many options for Galbrena in comparison to characters that utilize any other weapon type, which means you likely would be better off considering the signature if you don't have either the Last Dance or the Solar Flare at the very least. In regards to echo sets, there will be a few combinations you can opt for and echoes you can farm in advance, but from the looks of it, there is a good chance there will be a new dedicated echo set for Galbrena due to the recent addition of the Korosaurus Echo, which is currently part of the Flaming Clawprint set and provides the resonator with a fusion damage and echo skill damage bonus. So considering no fusion character as of now is capable of dealing multiple instances of echo skill damage, it hints at the fact this echo will be part part of a new 3-piece echo set in version 2.7, which if I had to assume will provide a bonus towards crit rate or crit damage alongside either a bonus towards heavy attack damage or echo skill damage. So until then, I would say it's best to likely farm either the Flaming Clawprint set or the Molten Rift set to pair with the new 3-cost echo set, considering both of them do provide a 10% fusion damage bonus via the 2-piece set bonus, which would be the best secondary effect. However, opposed to the new dedicated echo set for Galbrena that is likely tailored to enable more damage being dealt, the Law of Harmony echo set is another set that can be used and will be more for a supportive build, considering it grants 30% heavy attack damage bonus and a 16% echo skill damage bonus for all allies when casting multiple instances of an echo skill. So of course, with the fact Galbrena will be capable of dealing echo skill damage, it means she would be able to make use out of the echo set, but would also mean this set can only be utilized when she is within the echo skill damage composition. Now alongside those, you would of course be able to use either the full Flaming Clawprint set or Molten Rift set to increase Galbrena's fusion damage. But of course, the dedicated echo set that should be releasing next update and the Law of Harmony 3-piece set would offer better value and should be prioritized. In terms of the stats to focus on with Galbrena's echoes, the 4-cost as usual will want either crit rate or crit damage, and that would be dependent on the weapon you do utilize. The 3-cost echoes will want fusion damage bonus and the 1-cost echoes will want attack percent. As for the substats, crit rate and crit damage as standard will be priority, following with heavy attack damage bonus, attack percent, and a few rolls of either energy regen or flat attack would lead to a perfect echo build. Overall, Galbrena is definitely going to be a great damage dealer, but will of course be a bit more unique, considering she does deal both heavy attack damage and echo skill damage. However, even with that said, it doesn't stop her from being a versatile DPS that can synergize in various compositions that will enable her to perform extremely well. So she does certainly hold a ton of value within her kit. But on top of that, I do believe just from her design and playstyle, she will be a fantastic character to consider for your account, especially when she does potentially have a secondary state that reveals her wings and will have some incredible animations. Although, as for the big question of whether you should summon for Galbrena, as usual, it does really depend on your account, as if you are able to slot her into one of her more favorable compositions, then you would of course have more of a reason to consider picking her up. If you need a new DPS in specific to clear content, Galbrena will be a solid choice due to her DPS potential and synergy with Mortifi, which most players will have on their account. However, if you don't need a new DPS and are crushing all content the game offers, then of course she wouldn't be a must unless you do really like her design or playstyle. But since we are getting closer to version 3.0, it might be a bit better to be a bit cautious on spending for characters you like more than you need, since it is quite likely we will be receiving some insane looking characters very soon. And with that, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Would really appreciate it if you could subscribe for more WutheringWaves content, and if you enjoyed the video, drop a like. Also drop a comment down below on whether you will be pulling for Galbrena or will you be skipping. And yeah, hope to catch you guys later.